The snow fell in soft, relentless waves over Manhattan's financial district, cloaking the frenetic pulse of New York City in a rare, silvery hush. It was December 23, 3 p.m., and from the 35th floor of a sleek glass tower, Emily Carter stood before a towering window, her breath fogging the cold pane. At 32, Emily was a force in the world of finance, a senior analyst at one of Wall Street's most prestigious investment banks, commanding a $175 salary and a reputation for razor-sharp precision. Her office was a testament to her success, a desk buried under fourth-quarter investment reports, walls adorned with gleaming awards, and a view that stretched across the city's jagged skyline. Yet, as the snow painted the streets below, her usually steely gaze wavered, clouded with doubt. "Will it really work out tomorrow?" she murmured, her voice barely audible over the hum of the office. Her reflection in the glass betrayed a flicker of vulnerability, a crack in the armor she'd worn for years. Emily's life was a carefully constructed empire of discipline and ambition, but beneath it lay a fault line: her family. Her phone buzzed, snapping her back to the present. A new Instagram post from her younger brother, Jake Sullivan, flashed across the screen, a gleaming Patek Philippe watch on his wrist. Captioned, "Living the dream. #highlife #family vibes." Emily's jaw tightened. "Another watch," she muttered, scrolling past Jake's endless parade of luxury. Jake, 28, and his wife, Chloe, lived like their inheritance was a bottomless well, squandering the fortune left by their father, who'd passed away 12 years ago. Chloe's feed was no better, daily posts of Hermes bags, Louboutin heels, and champagne-soaked brunches. Emily's mother, Diane, and stepfather, Richard, weren't far behind, ensconced in a lavish Miami penthouse, their calls always circling back to one thing: money. Last night's call from Diane still stung. Jake's eyeing a new Tesla. "Honey," Diane had cooed, her voice dripping with expectation. "He just needs a little help with the down payment." Emily had sighed, already reaching for her banking app. "Fine, I'll send it," she'd said, the words automatic after years of similar requests. She was the family's ATM, dispensing funds to fuel their extravagance while her own savings, meticulously managed, grew in silence. Emily opened her desk drawer, her fingers brushing against a faded photo, the last Christmas with her father, taken in a sterile hospital room. His frail frame couldn't dim the warmth in his smile, a beacon that had guided her through the darkest years. "Dad, I'm trying," she whispered, her throat tightening. Next to the photo lay a confirmation email, a $12 reservation for 4 suites at Crestwood Chalet, an exclusive resort nestled in the Catskill Mountains, booked for the Christmas holiday at $900 per night. This wasn't just a vacation. For Emily, it was a desperate bid to mend the fractured bonds with her family, to reclaim something lost in the years since her father's death. She'd covered every cost, hoping the shared time might spark a change. The office phone rang, jarring her thoughts. It was Crestwood Chalet, confirming final details for tomorrow's arrival. Emily straightened, her voice slipping into its polished, professional cadence. "Yes, this is Emily Carter. Regarding tomorrow's arrangements?" As she spoke, her gaze drifted back to the window, where the snow fell thicker now, blanketing the city in a quiet that felt both beautiful and ominous. A winter afternoon heavy with anticipation and dread. In the center of her office, a sleek Rimowa suitcase sat half-packed. On the nearby couch, a charcoal cashmere sweater lay neatly folded, its understated elegance a reflection of Emily's taste, quality over flash. She picked it up, holding it against her chest in front of a mirror. "Is this enough?" she murmured, her reflection staring back with uncertainty. Chloe's wardrobe screamed designer labels, and Diane had adopted Richard's taste for gaudy opulence. Emily's simplicity felt like a rebellion, but also a question: did she belong with them at all? Her phone rang again. It was Nathan, his voice a steady anchor in the storm of her thoughts. "Everything on track?" he asked, concern threading through his usual warmth. Nathan, 38, owned a string of luxury resorts across the U.S., including Crestwood Chalet. They'd met at a finance conference 3 years ago, their connection deepening into something solid. Reliable. Almost. Emily replied, her tone softening. I've given the staff at Crestwood special instructions. If anything goes wrong, they'll call me. She paced to the window. The city a blur of white and steel. Thanks, Nathan. I'm okay. I have to believe this trip will change things. Hanging up, Emily sank onto the office sofa, her eyes landing on the photo of her father. 12 years ago, in that stark hospital room. He'd gripped her hand, his voice weak but resolute. You're the strong one, Em. You'll hold this family together. Those words had become her mantra, propelling her through college with top honors, into the cutthroat world of finance, and up the ranks to senior analyst by her early 30s. Meanwhile, Jake had unraveled after their father's death, dropping out of college and leaning into Richard's indulgence, burning through their inheritance with Chloe by his side. Her phone vibrated with a text from Jake. You're picking us up tomorrow morning. Right? Don't flake. His arrogance seeped through the screen. Emily typed back. Of course. She glanced at the clock. Past 10 p.m. tomorrow. She'd drive her family to the Catskills. A 2-hour journey she wasn't sure she was ready for. She sighed, resuming her packing. Her pulse quickened, caught between hope and fear. Looking at her father's photo one last time. His smile seemed to urge her forward. Tomorrow will be fine, she whispered, heading to her bedroom. But sleep, she knew, would be elusive, tangled in the weight of what lay ahead. Christmas Eve, the drive. At 6 a.m., Manhattan shimmered under a fresh layer of snow. The city still asleep in the pre-dawn chill. Emily woke before her alarm, her nerves buzzing. Today's the day, she told herself. Taking a deep breath, she'd risen 30 minutes early. A small buffer to steel herself for what was coming. In her luxury apartment's bathroom, she applied makeup with precision, her hands steady despite the knot in her stomach. Around her neck, she fastened a delicate sapphire pendant, a keepsake from her father that gleamed against her tailored black coat. Her outfit, simple, elegant, mirrored the woman she'd become, confident, but quietly so. In the underground garage, her midnight blue BMW 7 Series gleamed under the fluorescent lights. Emily slid into the driver's seat, the navigation system plotting her route. First stop, the Upper West Side, where Diane and Richard lived in a glossy high-rise. Then, Brooklyn, to pick up Jake and Chloe from their newly bought brownstone in a trendy, overpriced neighborhood. The snowy roads were clear but demanded caution, the city's silence amplifying her thoughts. At the Upper West Side, Diane was waiting outside, wrapped in a loud crimson coat, a Chanel bag swinging from her arm. Richard climbed into the back seat without a word, his face buried in his phone. Morning, Emily, Diane said, her tone syrupy, like she was addressing a hired driver. Emily forced a smile. Morning. Next was Brooklyn. Jake and Chloe's brownstone loomed, its modern facade screaming wealth, or the illusion of it. Rumors swirled that their inheritance was dwindling. Yet they kept up appearances. You're late, Jake snapped as he slid into the passenger seat, his tone as sharp as ever. Chloe, draped in a fur-trimmed Prada coat, clutched a matching handbag, her smile as curated as her Instagram grid. They looked like they'd stepped out of a fashion shoot, not a family road trip. With everyone aboard, Emily gripped the wheel, the car's interior thick with tension. Jake fiddled with his phone, likely crafting another boastful post. Diane and Chloe whispered in the back, their voices a low hum of exclusivity that excluded Emily. The silence between them was louder than words, as the city gave way to the snow-draped peaks of the Catskills. Emily's shoulders relaxed slightly. The landscape was breathtaking, a fleeting reprieve from the weight she carried. There it is, Jake exclaimed, breaking the quiet. Crestwood Chalet emerged through the snow, its grand, Alpine-inspired architecture glowing against the mountains. A massive Christmas tree sparkled at the entrance. Luxury SUVs lining the drive as affluent families disembarked. Emily parked, a uniformed bellboy approaching with a smile. For a moment, she dared to hope. But then, everything shifted. You've done your part getting us here, Jake said, his voice cold as ice. Emily turned, her heart lurching. In the rearview mirror, She caught Jake's smirk, sharp, malicious. Diane and Richard avoided her gaze. Their silence deafening. Chloe's lips curled into a smug grin. What do you mean? Emily asked, her voice trembling despite her effort to stay composed. The reservations. Jake sneered. They've been changed. Just our names now. This place is for the real family. The words hit like a slap. The air in the car turning frigid. Emily's mind raced, her hands tightening on the wheel. They'd planned this. Used her. Discarded her. She was nothing to them but a means to an end. Without a word, Emily pulled out her phone. Her fingers steady despite the storm inside her. She dialed Nathan. Hello? His calm voice answered. Nathan, she said, her tone eerily composed. Cancel the reservations. All of them. A pause. Then, understood. I'll handle it. As she hung up, a staff member in a crisp black uniform approached the car. I'm sorry, he said to Jake. We can't find your reservation. Jake's smirk vanished. Diane fumbled with her purse. And Richard finally looked up. His face pale. There's been a mistake. Diane stammered, her voice rising. Emily rolled down her window. Her eyes locked on the falling snow. No mistake, she said, her voice steady, cutting. The reservations are cancelled. Goodbye. Jake's protests. Emily, wait. It's a joke, faded as she started the engine. In the rearview mirror, she saw them standing in the snow. Chloe's designer boots sinking into the slush. Diane's voice lost to the wind. A single tear traced down Emily's cheek, not of sorrow, but of release. Her phone buzzed. Jake. Diane. Then Richard. Their messages a cascade of blame and desperation. Why would you do this? It's Christmas Eve. You've humiliated us. Can you cover the hotel costs? Emily let out a bitter laugh. Always money. Never love. Never family. She didn't head home. Instead, she drove to Nathan's penthouse in Tribeca. The snow falling like a curtain over the city. As she stepped into the elevator, a warmth spread through her. A clarity she hadn't felt in years. Nathan opened the door, the fireplace casting a soft glow over the room. Emily, are you okay? He asked. His eyes searching hers. She smiled. A real one this time. I'm free. The snow fell heavier now, swirling around the grand entrance of Crestwood Chalet. A luxurious retreat nestled in the heart of the Catskill Mountains. Its alpine elegance glowed against the twilight. A beacon of opulence with its towering Christmas tree ablaze in golden lights. Emily Carter, 32, had orchestrated this moment with meticulous care, pouring $12 into reserving 4 suites at $900 a night. A final attempt to stitch her fractured family back together. But as her midnight blue BMW idled in the resort's snow-dusted drive, the air inside the car turned colder than the winter outside. You've done your part getting us here. Jake Sullivan, her 28-year-old brother, said, his voice sharp as a blade. Emily froze, her hands gripping the steering wheel. She turned, catching Jake's smirk in the rearview mirror, a cruel, calculated twist of his lips she'd never seen before. In the back seat, her mother, Diane, stared at her lap, her crimson coat a garish contrast to her silence. Richard, her stepfather, gazed out the window, his face a mask of indifference. Chloe, Jake's wife, let out a soft, smug chuckle, her Prada coat catching the glow of the chalet's lights. What do you mean? Emily asked, her voice trembling, though she fought to keep it steady. The reservations, Jake sneered, leaning back with a mocking ease. They've been changed. Just our names now. This place is for the real family. The words landed like a punch, stealing the breath from Emily's lungs. Her mind reeled, piecing together the betrayal. They'd planned this, used her money, her effort, her hope, only to cast her aside like a hired driver. The chalet's festive glow mocked her, a cruel reminder of the warmth she'd chased but never found in them. Emily's heart pounded, but her years as a senior analyst at a Wall Street investment bank had honed her ability to act under pressure. She pulled out her phone, her fingers steady despite the storm raging inside. She dialed Nathan, her partner of 3 years and the owner of Crestwood Chalet. His voice came through, calm and grounding. Hello? Nathan, Emily said, her tone eerily composed. Cancel the reservations. All of them. A beat of silence followed. Then Nathan's quiet, "Understood. I'll handle it." She hung up, her eyes fixed on the falling snow. Each flake a tiny rebellion against the weight of her family's deceit. A staff member in a crisp black uniform approached the car. His expression polite but firm. "I'm sorry, sir," he said to Jake. "We can't find your reservation." Jake's smirk vanished, replaced by a flash of panic. Diane fumbled with her Chanel bag, her voice rising. "There's got to be a mistake." Richard finally turned, his eyes wide, as Chloe's smug grin faltered, her designer boots shifting uncomfortably in the snow. Emily rolled down her window, the cold air biting her cheeks. "No mistake," she said, her voice a blade of ice. "The reservations are cancelled. Goodbye." Jake's protests erupted. "Emily. Wait. It's just a joke," but she didn't flinch. The engine purred as she pulled away, the chalet's lights fading in the rearview mirror. In the snow, her family stood stranded, Diane's voice a faint wail against the wind, Chloe's boots sinking deeper into the slush. A single tear traced down Emily's cheek. Not of sorrow but of liberation. A quiet release from a burden she'd carried too long. Her phone erupted with notifications, calls from Jake, Diane, Richard, and a flood of messages. "Why would you do this? It's Christmas Eve. You've humiliated us in front of everyone. Can you at least cover the hotel costs?" Emily let out a bitter laugh, the audacity of their entitlement cutting through her pain. It was always about money, never love, never loyalty, never family. She silenced the phone, her resolve hardening with every mile she put between herself and Crestwood. Instead of returning to her sleek Manhattan apartment, Emily drove to Nathan's Tribeca penthouse. The snow falling like a curtain over the city's skyline. The underground garage was quiet, the elevator's hum a soothing contrast to the chaos she'd left behind. When Nathan opened the door, the warmth of his penthouse enveloped her, the fireplace casting a golden glow across the room. "Emily, are you okay?" he asked, his hazel eyes searching hers, filled with a concern that felt like home. She managed a smile, fragile but real. "I'm free," she said, the words tasting like victory. Nathan pulled her into a gentle embrace. And for the first time in years, Emily felt the weight of her family's expectations lift. Over glasses of red wine by the fireplace, she recounted the betrayal, Jake's venomous smirk, Diane's averted gaze, Chloe's cruel chuckle. Nathan listened, his presence a steady anchor. "You did the right thing," he said, his voice firm yet kind. "They didn't ruin your Christmas, Emily. They ruined their own. You protected yourself." Tears welled in her eyes, not of grief but of relief, washing away the guilt she'd carried for years. Her phone buzzed again, a message from Richard. "Your selfishness has embarrassed us all. Don't ever show your face again." Emily powered off the device. A small, defiant act of closure. Nathan's hand rested on her shoulder, his warmth a stark contrast to the coldness of her blood relatives. "Tomorrow's a new start," she said, staring into the flickering flames. "I'm done letting them control my life." Nathan nodded, his eyes reflecting the fire's glow. "Why don't we make it official?" he said softly. "Move in with me. Let's build something real, together." Emily's breath caught, the proposal catching her off guard but igniting a spark of hope. She nodded, tears of joy replacing the ones of pain. "Yes," she whispered, the sapphire pendant from her father glinting in the firelight. A silent blessing from the man who'd always believed in her strength. 1 month later, a reckoning. January's bitter cold gripped Manhattan, the city shivering under a relentless north wind. From the 35th floor of her office, Emily gazed out at the icy skyline, her desk now organized, her focus sharper than ever. Her promotion to department head was imminent, a testament to her unrelenting drive. But today, her secretary's voice crackled through the intercom, pulling her from her work. "Miss Carter, you have a visitor in the lobby." Diane Morgan. Emily's fingers paused over her keyboard, the name a jolt to her system. Diane, her mother, hadn't contacted her since that snowy Christmas Eve. "Send her up," Emily said, her voice steady but her pulse quickening. She adjusted her blazer, the sapphire pendant cool against her skin, and prepared for the confrontation. In the lobby, Diane sat on a leather sofa. A far cry from her usual flamboyance. Her gray coat was plain. Her makeup minimal. Her eyes shadowed with fatigue. "May I come in?" she asked. Her voice stripped of its former arrogance. Emily nodded, leading her to the office's reception area. Outside, light snow danced in the air. A quiet echo of that fateful night. Diane clutched a coffee mug. Her hands trembling. "I needed to talk," she began, her voice low. "We're at our limit, Emily. The inheritance, it's gone. Richard's real estate deals collapsed. And we're drowning in debt. Jake can't pay for his car. And they're behind on rent." Her eyes pleaded, but Emily's expression remained impassive. "Is this about money?" Emily asked, her tone calm but cutting. Diane hesitated, then nodded. "For living expenses. Jake's loan, we need help." Emily leaned back, her gaze unwavering. "Mom, I'm not your bank anymore. I've chosen to live my own life." Diane's face crumpled, a mix of shame and desperation. "But we're family," she whispered. Emily's eyes hardened. "What does family mean to you? On Christmas Eve, you let Jake call me a driver. Smirked while he humiliated me. You said nothing. Is that family?" The room fell silent, the weight of her words hanging heavy. "I regret that day," Diane said, tears spilling. "But I'm in trouble. Emily, please." Emily stood, walking to the window, her back to her mother. The city stretched before her. A reminder of the empire she'd built without them. "Go home, Mom," she said, her voice resolute. "And don't come back. My life is mine now." Diane rose, her footsteps faltering, the door's soft click sealing their final goodbye. Emily touched the sapphire pendant. A wave of lightness washing over her. The burden of her family's greed was gone, replaced by a clarity that felt like freedom. Spring's promise. A new life. By April, Manhattan bloomed with spring's vibrancy. Cherry blossoms painting the parks in shades of pink. From Nathan's penthouse, now their penthouse, Emily sipped coffee. The city's skyline a canvas of renewal. "What are you thinking about?" Nathan asked, his voice warm as he joined her by the window. "Everything," Emily said, turning to him with a smile. "These past months, my life's changed so much." And it had. She'd accepted Nathan's proposal. Their engagement announced in a quiet, joyful moment. At the bank, she'd been promoted to head of her department, leading a high-stakes project team with the same precision that had defined her career. And Nathan had invited her to consult on his latest venture, a new hotel chain on the West Coast, blending her professional acumen with their shared future. Word had reached her through colleagues that Jake and Chloe had downsized to a modest apartment. Their social media silent, their lavish lifestyle a fading memory. Diane and Richard were selling their Miami penthouse, grappling with their debts. Emily felt no regret, only a quiet affirmation of her choice. "Any second thoughts?" Nathan asked, his hand brushing hers. She shook her head, touching the sapphire pendant. "None. This is my path." True family, she'd learned, wasn't about blood, it was about love, respect, and shared strength. Nathan was her family now. Their bond a foundation stronger than any she'd known. That evening, at a candlelit restaurant in Soho, Nathan raised a glass, his eyes sparkling. "To our new beginning," he said. Emily clinked her glass against his, the chime echoing like a promise. "To us," she replied, her heart full. The sapphire pendant caught the light, a symbol of her father's faith and her own unbreakable spirit. As the city hummed outside, Emily Carter stepped into her future, unburdened, unstoppable, and finally, truly home.